Hello, and welcome to Cooking with the Wooden Spoon. Today we are making Margherita fruit pie, and it is delicious. So I've been working through making all of the recipes that I will be featuring in my cooking class, which is tomorrow. And the Margherita fruit pie, I couldn't really make in advance. Well, I could have made it in advance, but then I just would have eaten all of it. I love this Margherita fruit pie. It is a pretzel and then Cool Whip layer after that, and then fruit dish where it's the three layers, and boy, is it good. I first got this recipe when I lived north of Boston, and although it features limes, you can't really get limes, fresh limes, north of Boston. And actually, I suppose in thinking about it, I'm doing a class on the Ridgeway Farmers Market ingredients, and you can't get lime there either. But on top, you put a variety of fruit, and you can get strawberries and blueberries and blackberries here at the farmers market. So that's how I've justified it. But mainly, I just really like this dessert. This is a favorite of Julia's as well. She has mastered making this, so kudos to her. I think you're really going to like it, and I really hope the people in our class like it. I'm really excited for the class tomorrow. I think it's going to be a good group, and we're going to eat well, hopefully. So, we're going to go ahead and get started. We need 2 cups of crushed or chopped pretzels. I don't like mushy pretzels, and they really don't get mushy because you do bake it. But I like having larger pieces of pretzel in my pretzel Margherita fruit pie. If you don't like big pieces of pretzel, you can make yours however you would like. The way that I crush pretzels is I put them in a Ziploc bag, and then I will start with my meat tenderizer to break them up, and then move to the rolling pin if I need to do that. This crust does cook in the oven for about 10 minutes at 375. So I have my oven preheated to 375, and we're going to be ready to go. The recipe calls for 2 cups of butter. I'm doubling the recipe, so it calls for 1 cup of butter. Um, this is not a low fat recipe, so it is delicious though. So we're going to go ahead and crush these, probably a little bit off camera as well, because you don't really need to sit here and watch me do this for 10 minutes. But Bo does. Huh, Bo? Bo always hopes that something is going to fly onto the floor. I think our pretzels are about ready. Our bag is not looking like it's one that I can reuse, but we're going to pour it into a bowl. You may notice that I started out with a gray bowl and moved to this bowl. I questioned my decision on the gray bowl. I don't think they would have fit in there. So we are going to switch out our bowl. I am adding to this 1 cup of brown sugar. I found that it doesn't matter too much what type of sugar you use. I use less brown sugar here when I'm cooking, so I figured I would use up the brown sugar and we would be okay. I'm not going to put all of this butter in. I'm just questioning whether I wrote the recipe correctly. I should call Julia. She has recently made this. It's been a while since I've made this, but it's been one that I've made many, many, many times over the years. I haven't lived in Boston since 2001, so I've been making this a long time. I think you'll find some recipes that you do are going to be keepers, and some are going to be ones that are one and done. I have many one and done recipes. You can ask Seth about some of my one and done recipes that he has asked that I not repeat. There have been winners over the years, but I'm sure if you ask Matt, he would say that there are none. I'm just kidding. He would say probably a lot more. So we're just mixing this really well. We want the sugar to incorporate pretty well because the sugar, whenever it cooks and then cools, is going to harden, and that is going to be what gives our crust the solidity. Whenever we cut the Margherita fruit pie into pieces, the crust will hold together pretty well because we have the sugar well incorporated. I'm seeing a few pretzels that I missed in the process of breaking them down, so I'm just getting those broken down. We will be making this in my class tomorrow. However, I really wanted to have a backup plan. So, and with this recipe, you put it together and then it has to cool in the refrigerator for at least 4 hours, and the cooking class is 3 hours. So even if I did it at the beginning, it wouldn't quite be solidified enough to serve it. Plus, if I completely mess up the dessert tomorrow, I have a backup plan. I'll have this batch already made, already cut, and we'll be ready to roll. Matt also always graciously volunteers to eat any mistakes, which is really nice of him. I would eat all the mistakes on the middle layer here. So what I'm doing is just going to press this into the bottom of my pan. I'm using a 9 by 13 cake dish. I love these Pyrex pans that are casserole dishes that come with the lid. I actually only bought this maybe a year and a half ago. It was whenever we moved to Wisconsin. I am really surprised how much I use that. So we are going to bake this. I have a feeling that I may not be able to put the lid on this pan because my pretzel layer is quite thick, but it's okay. Okay, so I'm going to put this in the oven for 10 minutes and then pull it out, and it'll have to cool completely. In the meantime, we will put together our whipped topping layer and then put that in the refrigerator. After this cools, we'll put that layer on top of this and then add fruit. It's really not that difficult of a recipe, but it's really good, especially with the limes. I don't use limes as much as I should. The flavor just pops whenever you use a lime. And I think you're going to love it. So let's put this in the oven. Next step, we are going to combine Cool Whip, which is so delicious. I don't have much of a sweet tooth. Matt has enough sweet tooth for the both of us. However, I do really like Cool Whip. I would take whipped icing over royal icing any day of the week. Matt is just the opposite. He would love to have royal icing. I love Cool Whip. Okay, so this is sweetened condensed milk. You need one, if you're doing a single recipe, you need 1 can of that. I'm doubling the recipe, so we're doing 2 cans. One thing I don't like about sweetened condensed milk is that, boy, it does a number on my can opener. So I have to wipe that down every time. And then a single batch calls for 1/4 of a cup of orange juice, and this calls for 1/2 cup because I'm doubling it. Okay. Next, we are going to zest some limes. I have a zester somewhere. I don't know where, but I can't find it. So we are going to use a microplane to zest this. You can use any kind of cheese grater or whatnot. The old fashioned, I have it here. This old fashioned cheese grater. This side will work great for zesting. So in case you don't know what zesting is, you're just taking the outside of the lime or lemon or orange, and you're taking it off until you get to the white part. I'm going to go ahead and zest these lemons, and then we'll join up again. Okay, so I realized I said lemons and not lime. I always tell my kids it's not what I actually say, it's what I mean to say. So then they get to figure out, what did she actually mean? So we have everything zested. It smells great. A little trick for citrus fruits like oranges or lemons or lime. If you want to juice these, you first have to roll them. When you roll the lime or the lemon or the orange, what it does is that it actually releases the juices, and you'll be able to zest a little bit better. And in saying that, I realized that I forgot to get my juicer out, so I'm going to go ahead and get it. I also pulled our crust layer, our pretzel layer, out of the oven. I let it go 2 or 3 more minutes than what I had said originally, because I like to see the butter and the sugar bubble. And once it bubbles, I know that it's going to harden a lot better. So I let it sit in there a couple more minutes until it bubbled, and then it's good. So we're going to cut our lemons, our limes. Oh my gosh. We're going to cut our limes in half. And if you don't have a juicer, it's no problem at all. Just use a fork and put the fork in the lime and squeeze it. Not a problem at all. What I like about the juicer, which I got from Pampered Chef a long time ago, is any of the pulp and whatnot and seeds for lemons, it's collected here, and then you just get the juice, which is great. We want as much lime juice as possible for this recipe because it really is the lime in the center that makes it delicious. I better put the lids down here. I'm not always the safest in the kitchen. So little things like that will help me to not slice my arm while reaching for something else. This is such an easy recipe and it is really quite fun. I have found that you really don't need an excess in kitchen tools. A lot of things just clutter your kitchen unnecessarily. Like I said with the juicer, which took me a second to find, where did I put that juicer? Uh, you don't really need a juicer. If you have one, awesome. If you don't, just use a fork. It all works out pretty well. But the lime in this really is quite delicious. I don't know if, uh, well, I do know that in Western Pennsylvania, layered pretzel salads, they're a thing. They're a big thing. I don't know Wisconsin enough to know if that's something that is common here. If you're from Wisconsin and you know the answer to that, throw it in the comments. I would be really curious to know. Like the strawberry pretzel salad at all of my family reunions growing up, there was always strawberry pretzel salad. So I love pretzels, but I love them more when they're sugary and buttery. But anyway, we're just going to pour this in here, mix it up. We're ready to go. Matt is definitely the baker between the two of us. He has an innate way of knowing how, I think it has to do with the fact that he's so scientific, but he knows how different ingredients are going to react when put together or when cooked, and it's a really neat gift that I don't have. He also is precise when he bakes. It has been a challenge for me to write down recipes for this channel because I'm typically somebody who just does a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But I think it's important to know what recipe ingredients you use and how much for two reasons. There have been so many times that I've made stuff and just thrown it together, and then I have no idea what I did, and I would love to replicate it, but I can't. And second, I think you get a consistency of taste when you have the ingredients measured out. It was interesting this week. Lisbeth, she's just she's a and she's a science boss and she's also a literary boss, and you usually don't get that combination. She's just an amazing human and she's so kind. Anyway, I asked her to edit the cookbook that I made for my cooking class, and she did a fantastic job, which is exactly why I asked her. But she said, "I'm so happy to have your salad dressing recipe." And I thought, wow, I need to write down more recipes because she loves that salad dressing and I love that salad dressing, but usually I just dump everything together. But it's nice to have. As I have been soothed by stirring this, I have it all combined. It is ready to go. It smells awesome. I'm going to taste it. I have to. I haven't made this in a long time. It's really a great summer recipe because it's cold and the lime just makes it so refreshing. But It's so good. I'm going to have a hard time not eating any of this. But since I'm making this for other people, I cannot put my spoon back in. And I will leave it alone. I promise. I want everybody in the class to enjoy this. I think they're going to love it. So we're going to put this in the refrigerator, and we will get to chopping some strawberries. Other than chopping the strawberries, there's nothing else that needs done for this until it's time to put it together in the layers. It's really easy. For our fruit topping today, I'm going to use mandarin oranges, which I really love. I'm actually putting this on the salad that we're making for the cooking class as well. And blueberries, blackberries. Love blackberries. I can remember going and picking blackberries with my dad, and he loved blackberries. And strawberries. Matt loves strawberries, so we're going to just slice them, not real thin, but not real thick. About like that. Perfect. So we'll get them all sliced and ready to roll. I did wash them first. I always wash fruit and vegetables regardless of whether it says pre-washed. Can never be too careful. So we'll get these chopped and then meet again whenever it's time to assemble things. Okay, time to pour our filling onto our pretzel crust. Wonderful. As I predicted, I think we have a lot of filling, and maybe we should have had a thicker pan. Who knows? I think it's going to be great either way. So just going to spread all of this out, and then I will put my fruit on top. I think we have just a little bit more filling than what we need, but that's okay. I think it's great. I got slimed. Hi, Bo. So you could make this as uniform as you want. I am just going to put hodgepodge here and there, different fruits, because I'd like to have, when I cut this for the class, I'd like to have everybody have just a little bit of each fruit. So basically, all you do is cover the whole Margherita fruit pie with fruit and serve. Well, cut and then serve. But honestly, of making this after it sits in the refrigerator, I'll have it sit in the refrigerator overnight, and then tomorrow morning it should be firmed up enough that I can cut it for the class. But the hardest part of this whole endeavor is cutting the pieces and then taking them out of the pan. It's really quite easy. So I'm doing a little bit of strawberries, a little bit of blueberries, even though Matt does not like blueberries. I figure some people in the class probably like blueberries. I like blueberries. If I were making this for myself, I would also put sliced kiwi on this because I really like kiwi. But this time of the year, it's hard to find. Actually, I don't know. Maybe we could find kiwi that's pretty ripe now. I didn't though, but this is going to be delicious. I think my favorite fruit on this is going to be the mandarin oranges. Boy, I love mandarin oranges so much. I'm not the biggest fan of regular oranges, although I will eat them, and I like to cook with them. But mandarin oranges are always sweet, and regular oranges, sometimes you get a tart one. And I'm not a big fan of tart, although certainly Noah is. I'm seeing little stems, and I don't want those to be, they're kind of bitey whenever you crunch down on them. So there we go, we're good. I think I might give these a little chop because they're pretty. Whoa. I guess it's good that they're squirting everywhere because that means they're pretty juicy. I don't know. But I'll be cleaning my glasses later. So just going to put some of these here and there. This is another one of the fruits that Matt will probably be picking off. And that is okay. He never complains. He just adjusts as he needs to. So there you go. Isn't it absolutely beautiful? I look at this and I get happy. It has lots of good fruits. It's not like super healthy, but it's very pretty and it is definitely refreshing when you eat it. I'm really looking forward to the class trying this tomorrow. So I think they're going to love it. And I think you will too if you give it a try.